Good evening. The Constitution of India has provided political freedom to the people. In the similar manner, GST has provided economic freedom to the people. What do you mean by this? Let's try to explore in this particular session. And in this session, we are going to discuss regarding GST. It stands for Goods and Services Tax. This tax has been implemented in India on July 1st, 2017. That is the beginning of the introduction of GST in India. And if you look at the latest figures, April 2025, the collection to the government of India through GST was 2.37 lakh crores. I repeat, 2.37 lakh crores, and it was the highest so far. It started the journey in July 2017, and we are in the year 2025. And look at the figures how they are increasing. Of course, when I say April 2025, in fact, these are the collections of the month March. Of course, that was the closing year, and so many economic transactions will take place. And obviously, in the month of April, the collection figures when displayed are considered to be, the huge. But if you look at the collection of GST and the revenue that is being generated by the government every month, so that is increasing like anything. So, meaning the GST has become very, very, very a strong mechanism how exactly you are collecting the taxes. Previously, people used to evade the taxes. That is the reason why when it comes to the collection of the taxes became very difficult for the government. But through the technology that is being implemented today, evading taxes is almost not possible, but still some people are trying. That is the reason why the government is always trying to tighten the screws. Clear? And we are discussing about GST and one nation, one tax, one market. But how exactly this has come into the picture? Just like any other reform, maybe political reform, educational reform, even in the taxation also there is a necessity of the reforms, because as the days are changing, as the circumstances are changing, the collection of the amount that is being received by the government is not sufficient with respect to the development, because the population is increasing. We need to develop more infrastructure, and that is possible only with the enough amounts of the money. That is the reason why government will always look for the new routes to get more revenue. And at the same time, the government should also take care that there should not be more burden on the people. And when it comes to GST is an indirect tax, and this is being paid by every citizen in the country. So, whatever the development that is happening, every citizen is a part of this particular development, and we should be proud of that. Let's get into the details. Look at this. Reform is not just an event, it's a journey of trust. Meaning, through this particular GST, the government started trusting businesses. So, every business entity will submit the returns in fairness. So that what will happen, the government will generate the revenue, and the government can plan for the future investment with respect to the development of the nation. Of course, we have a very huge target in front of our eyes that India should become a developed nation by the year 2047. It is not just the responsibility of the government, but every entity, every organization, every citizen has to contribute with respect to the government's dream. Then by 2047, India will definitely become a developed nation. Look at this. That is the reason why reform is not an event, it's a journey of trust. Look at this. So when you look at the before GST, so there was so much of chaos. Of course, indirect taxes were there since beginning. India is a federation. There is a division of powers between central and state governments, where central government used to impose and collect the taxes, and states were also imposing and collecting taxes. But what is happening because of the various taxes, there was a chaos, there was a confusion. Look at what happens: a truck carrying goods from Tamil Nadu to Punjab, or Kerala to Chhattisgarh, or West Bengal to Maharashtra. So like this, when these trucks are traveling, so there were so many checkposts. So at every checkpost, the drivers of the trucks should wait for a long period, and they used to spend a lot of time at the checkpost than they spend in driving. And there was so much of chaos. So before you leave, you have to pay octroi. So before you enter other state, again you have to pay, this entry tax. So double taxation was there. So there was so much of pain, and that was leading to increase in the prices of the commodities. That is the reason why there was inefficiency, there was corruption, there was a loss of the productivity, right? So government wanted to get some reforms into this, but when exactly the vision has come into the picture? Of course, there are so many countries in the world today, right, who introduced GST before India introduced. But all this happened in India in the year 2000, when Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of India. So, how it will be if you introduce GST in India? During the time, Asim Das Gupta, Finance Minister of West Bengal, under his leadership, a committee has been established to look into the possibilities and feasibilities of introducing GST in India. And every year they are sitting together, they are working, and almost everything was done. Government was very hopeful and confident that this is going to be introduced from next financial year onwards. But there were so many breaks, there were so many doubts, especially from the states, that if we accept for the GST, then what about our revenue? We will be losing the revenue. That is the reason why repeated meetings were held for long period of time. And Atal Bihari Vajpayee stepped down as the Prime Minister in the year 2004. Dr. Manmohan Singh became the Prime Minister, continued up to the year 2014. So during his regime also, the discussions continued. In the year 2014, Shri Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister of India, and even during that time, also discussions went ahead. You know, and the states also started participating in the discussions with lots of enthusiasm. But finally, a consensus took place, and all entire India agreed for going for the constitutional amendment to introduce GST in the constitution, so that everybody will get benefited. Governments will be getting good amounts of revenue, and people will also be lowered with the tax burden. But what happened when we introduce something for the first time? Definitely there will be certain teething problems. So much of data in India, whether the technology will handle so much of data, all doubts. In the beginning, there were so many glitches. A common man could not understand what exactly is happening. That is the reason why there was a chaos. But India did not leave at the time. India worked together. All, every stakeholder came together, and we worked together, and this system has been made a foolproof system. What are all the teething problems were there, early glitches were there, they have been reduced very, very, very drastically. And thanks to the government at the central level, and all the governments at the state level, and also every stakeholder extended the support to the government. That's the reason why today India could able to get, as I told you, in April 2025, record collection of GST of 2.37 lakh crores. Clear? So now this was supported by all the political parties. That's a beautiful thing. Of course, there were discussions, there were debates, but finally, all political parties have agreed, and this is the rare unity in India. Finally, what happened? So that was the historic midnight on June 30th, 2017. During the time, the central parliament has witnessed a new dawn. The President of India launched GST, replacing the multiple taxes. This symbolized India's economic freedom. Such a wonderful moment for India. That's the reason why July 1st is celebrated as GST Day. Kindly remember for the examination that when GST has been introduced. Answer is July 1st, 2017. But I want you to know the what exactly happened before this GST has been put into force. Look at this. So when it comes to GST, what is the essence? GST trusted reforms, not just tax reforms. Self assessment from the business industry, transparency and ease of business all have been this integrated here. When it comes to the spirit, the trust the citizens, the trust in the system, and also India, all have become the spirit with respect to the GST. Next, look at this. So challenges on the road. So as I told you, so there were early confusions among the traders. There were technical glitches on GSTN. Frequent rate changes confused the people. And the lesson we learned is that reforms need patience. And that patience led to the participation of the people. All entire India has come together and we rectified the whole system. That is the reason why people were also asked to give suggestions for bettering the GST system. This is what exactly happened in India. So when it comes to cooperative federalism in action, every time we come across with the concept of the federalism and cooperative federalism. Though there is a division of powers between central and state governments, both are expected to cooperate with each other. Though we are living in a federalism, both the governments are working for the welfare of the people. That is the reason why there is an expected cooperation, and that cooperation is called cooperative federalism, and the GST is the live example for that. Tomorrow, if you get a question in the examination regarding cooperative federalism, in the mains, you can write, you can mention about the GST without any hesitation. Look at this. So when it comes to the transformation begins, barriers were removed, logistics improved, digital invoices reduced corruption, tax base widened, compliance improved. Everything started moving in a positive direction. That's the reason why. So if I want to pay the GST today, I need not go to any office. I can sit here and I can pay through online. Similarly, filing the returns, right? That can also be done through online. So because we are not meeting anyone in this particular process, so there is no corruption. That's the reason why this also reduced corruption very, 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 very drastically. But what India should learn from this? India should learn like patience pace. Basically, what happened when GST was introduced in the year 2017, there were certain glitches, as I told you, right? Then many people have criticized, many people have commented, for such a vast nation, it is too early to introduce such big reforms. But the point is that if not today, when? That is the reason why we moved ahead. So there was lots of patience, there was lots of participation. So that led to the progress of this economy in India, and GST supported it. And technology must empower. So whatever the technology was there, earlier glitches were there, that has been rectified. Now the system is working really well. Consensus build unity. It was not the decision taken by the central government alone. Central government, along with the states, discussed it together. There were so many meetings that were held. Finally, the consensus brought the unity, and the GST had been launched. Transparency builds a trust. I am paying money, but where exactly the money is going? So that's all what is important. Once I know that the money that I am spending is being utilized for healthcare, is being utilized for the highways, people will be interested. People will like to pay the taxes. Otherwise, in India we have a suspicion. I'm paying tax, maybe income tax, maybe indirect tax, anything we are paying, but where exactly the money is going? But through the transparency we can see, so where exactly the GST is being spent. That is being spent on development. Today whatever the development that we are looking in the entire country, that's all because of the wonderful tax collection, and also the contributions that are being made voluntarily by the citizens of the nation. We are all participating in the development of the nation. And the more is the simplification, the more it will be attracted by the people. That is the reason why what are the the rigidity that was there, glitches were there. It has been so simplified today that even a common man can understand what exactly is happening. Is that okay? So when it comes to the larger message, what is the larger message? GST is the collective willpower of united India. Nobody can take the claim, right? So this is because of me. Even if you look at the political parties, though it was initiated by Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, that continued through UPA regime, and finally it became a reality through NDA regime. Am I clear? So meaning cutting across the party lines, irrespective of who was there in the power at the central level or at the state levels, all the governments have worked together and finally we have achieved it. Citizens and governments work together. We, the taxpayers, are the builders of the strong nation. Our preamble begins with we, the people of India. And we can say, with respect to GST, we, the taxpayers, are the builders of a strong nation. Right? So, this is how, you know, the GST story, and what are the latest things with respect to GST, that I am going to discuss with you in tomorrow's session. I'll see you tomorrow, and I wish you all a very, very, very good luck. Take very good care. Thank you so much.